Have you ever sat around a crackling fire during the holidays, humming along to White Christmas, and wondered what the man behind that iconic voice was really like? Bing Crosby, that gentle baritone crooner who seemed to embody warmth and nostalgia, was much more complicated than most of us ever realized. Today, we're peeling back the curtain on the tangled web of success, scandal, and heartbreak that surrounded his life and impacted his children in ways that are both shocking and deeply tragic. Throughout the mid-1900s, Bing Crosby was hailed as a megastar, a trailblazer who dominated not just radio, but film, television, and live performance. But beneath the glossy exterior, his home life told a starkly different story, leaving behind both a legacy of musical innovation and a family haunted by painful secrets. Two of his sons, Lindsay and Dennis, died by suicide, a devastating sequence of events that forced the world to look a bit closer at the real Bing Crosby. In this video, we'll trace his meteoric rise to fame, dive into the confessions of his children, and explore how that once picture-perfect family unraveled. By the end, you'll see the undeniable contrast between the public superstar and the private father, one adored by millions but feared or misunderstood by those who should have known him best. Harry Lillis Bing Crosby Jr. was born on May 3, 1903 in Tacoma, Washington, though other dates are sometimes cited. From the start, his life was steeped in both music and humor. His father, Harry Lowe Crosby, worked as a bookkeeper, while his mother, Catherine Harrigan, came from Irish stock. Bing's famous nickname was born out of his childhood love for a comedic newspaper segment called The Bingville Bugle. Once his friends started calling him Bingo from Bingville. It was only a matter of time before Bing stuck for good. Growing up in Spokane, Washington, young Bing got his earliest taste of show business while working backstage at the local auditorium. He'd peek out from behind the curtains, watching legendary performers like Al Jolson captivate audiences with big voices and magnetic stage presence. That behind-the-scenes vantage point, combined with his father's record player, one of the earliest in the city, sparked a lifelong obsession with music. The seeds of stardom had been planted. Bing briefly tried his hand at law school at Gonzaga University, but destiny called him elsewhere. He dropped out to pursue music, forming a duo with pianist Al Rinker. Their chemistry caught the attention of Paul Whiteman, a major American band leader who brought Bing and Al under his wing in the mid-1920s. Soon after, Harry Barris joined them to form the Rhythm Boys, a trio that carved its own little niche in the burgeoning jazz scene. In 1928, Bing's jazz-inspired rendition of Old Man River shot up the charts, awarding him his first #1 hit. Even with the Rhythm Boys' success, tension brewed, and the group eventually dissolved. Bing emerged as the standout act. By 1931, he commanded 10 spots on the Top 50 Songs chart, an astonishing feat. Audiences were drawn to his intimate, crooning style, which harnessed new microphone technology to deliver a softer, more personal sound. For fans who were used to big, brassy voices, Bing's smooth approach felt like he was singing just to them. That new style was a game-changer. Suddenly, radio listeners felt they were receiving a private serenade from Bing Crosby himself. This personal connection made him a radio sensation, opening the door to film roles where his easy charm and velvet voice kept viewers spellbound. Bing's film debut came in 1932 with The Big Broadcast. The roaring applause and box office success led to more roles, including the famous comedic Road to Tatan series, alongside Bob Hope. These films combined music, humor, and a playful rivalry that quickly made Bing and Bob a beloved duo in Hollywood. Yet it was on the radio, ironically, where he felt most at home. Bing's broadcasts became go-to listening for American families, especially during World War II. His rendition of Irving Berlin's White Christmas became an instant classic, soothing troops overseas and comforting countless families worried for their loved ones. By the late 1940s, Bing was America's favorite entertainer. His innovations in recording technology, such as financially backing the first American-made reel-to-reel tape recorders, ushered in a new era of studio wizardry. Suddenly, editing, overdubbing, and re-recording became standard, reshaping the music industry forever. By 1930, Bing had married actress and singer Dixie Lee, born Wilma Wyatt. The two had 4 sons: Gary, twins Dennis and Philip, and Lindsay. For a while, their union looked every bit like the Hollywood dream. Public appearances, magazine photo shoots, and family Christmas specials reinforced the wholesome image of Bing Crosby, the star with a golden voice and a heart of gold. But families, especially famous ones, often face hidden battles. Dixie Lee reportedly struggled with her own issues, including potential alcoholism and lingering health concerns. When she passed away from ovarian cancer in 1952, it was a devastating blow, one that might have unraveled the family's fragile cohesion. Yet even before Dixie's death, rumors about Bing's stern parenting were circulating. Some saw him as an old-fashioned disciplinarian. Others whispered that his methods crossed a troubling line. Nothing, however, prepared the public for what would eventually come to light in the 1980s. In 1983, Gary Crosby published Going My Own Way, and the details within shocked longtime Bing Crosby fans. Instead of gentle father-son moments, Gary alleged a home atmosphere dominated by fear and harsh physical punishments. He described belts used for discipline, emotional coldness, and a father perpetually absorbed by his own success and celebrity obligations. This revelation clashed violently with Bing's signature public persona. To millions around the globe, Bing was that kindly crooner who sang lullabies and holiday tunes. Gary's account presented a starkly different image, one of a sometimes ruthless parent who demanded perfection and had little patience for typical childhood flaws. Not everyone believed Gary's story. Some family friends and even one of Bing's brothers publicly defended the star, saying they had never witnessed abuse. But other Crosby children either confirmed the account or declined to dispute it. For the public, it was difficult to reconcile the idea that the man who'd given the world such comforting music might have been so different at home. Bing's other sons, Lindsay, Dennis, and Philip, each walked their own complicated paths. All 4 children felt the immense pressure to live up to that Crosby name. Some ventured into music or acting. Some tried forging entirely different careers. But no matter what, that tall shadow of Bing Crosby loomed over every endeavor. Lindsay Crosby, born on January 5, 1934 in Los Angeles, faced a constant uphill battle. Although he carried his father's good looks and some musical talent, he never achieved significant fame. Tensions at home, particularly an alleged lack of emotional support from Bing, led Lindsay down a turbulent road marked by alcoholism and other personal struggles. Eventually, the emotional weight became unbearable. In 1989, Lindsay took her own life at 51, leaving behind a trail of grief and unanswered questions. Dennis Crosby, Lindsay's twin brother, shared many of those same difficulties. Like Lindsay, he ventured into entertainment, playing in films and making television appearances, without ever truly escaping his father's powerful legacy. When success eluded him, Dennis turned to alcohol as well. In May 1991, just 2 years after Lindsay's death, Dennis also took his own life at 56. The consecutive devastating losses among Bing Crosby's sons rattled the family name and forced the public to confront the possibility that there really was a darker side to his household. Philip Crosby, born the same day as Dennis, July 13, 1934, found limited success in show business. He appeared in a few films, sometimes referencing or playing younger versions of his father's characters, but never managed to carve out a true starring role. Philip battled similar demons: alcoholism, run-ins with the law, and a life shadowed by emotional baggage. He passed away in 2004 from a heart attack at 69, outliving his twin brothers but never quite outrunning the past. Gary Crosby had his own share of personal turmoil. While he is best remembered for writing the bombshell memoir about his father, Gary wrestled with addiction and financial hardships as well. Ultimately, he died in 1995 from complications related to lung cancer, leaving behind a divided legacy. On one hand, a man who dared to tell his truth. On the other, someone who also struggled with the scars of a tumultuous upbringing. It's not that Bing Crosby was silent on the subject of his parenting. In a 1959 interview, he admitted to feeling guilty about his fathering style, saying he'd been too strict and too focused on discipline rather than understanding. He believed he might have failed to spend enough time with his kids, instead offering financial stability as a substitute for genuine affection. Some of the Crosby children, including Lindsay, initially tried to defend their father, suggesting that Bing's regret was rooted in a personal struggle between old-school discipline and genuine love. Others, however, felt the admission came too late or missed the true depth of the damage. Family members outside the immediate household, like Bing's younger brother, insisted the star had never laid a finger on anyone. The reality likely lay somewhere in the complex overlap of conflicting memories, generational norms, and the extraordinary pressure of celebrity. It's no secret that old Hollywood excelled at crafting flawless images for its biggest stars. From carefully orchestrated press releases to glossy fan magazines, the studios went to great lengths to portray them as role models, complete with picture-perfect families. That narrative typically sold far better than any messy, complicated truth. Bing Crosby's brand was especially tied to innocence and family-friendly wholesomeness, thanks in large part to songs like White Christmas. So when cracks began showing, the contrast felt especially jarring. Fans were left wondering how the same man who soothed them with lullabies could be such a stern, distant figure at home. That disconnect underscores just how performative celebrity life can be. Even in later decades, celebrities often struggle with the enormous gulf between public adoration and personal hardship. In the Crosby household, that gulf seems to have been devastating. Gary's memoir, The Suicides of Dennis and Lindsay, and Philip's lifelong issues with alcoholism each highlight the long-term toll of these unresolved traumas. Bing Crosby passed away on October 14, 1977, at 73. By then, he'd changed the music industry forever, championed cutting-edge recording technology, starred in countless films, and provided the soundtrack to countless Christmas memories. But as he was laid to rest, the darker aspects of his family story were only beginning to emerge. While some fans continue to see Bing in a purely heroic light, others can't ignore the testimonies of his children. Going My Own Way remains a polarizing read. Some see it as a bitter takedown of a revered star. Others see it as a courageous confession, a needed rebalancing of an overly romanticized image. So how do we reconcile these two sides of Bing Crosby? The pioneering talent who revolutionized popular music, and the father whose children accused him of cruelty and emotional neglect? Perhaps the key is remembering that no individual, even a beloved celebrity, is immune to flaws. Fame and fortune can amplify personal demons rather than erase them. Parenting, in particular, requires constant presence, empathy, and patience. Qualities that are tough to maintain in an industry fueled by relentless demands and public scrutiny. The tragedies that befell Dennis and Lindsay, and the conflicts voiced by Gary, remind us that stardom doesn't protect a family from heartbreak. If anything, it can magnify the risk. We see how the pressures to maintain a certain image can lead to bottled-up emotions and hidden pain. We also see how generational shifts in disciplinary practices can spark vastly different interpretations of what strict parenting actually means. Bing Crosby will forever be a titan of entertainment, an icon who shaped American music, championed new recording techniques, and delivered beloved classics that still soothe us during the holidays. Yet his personal life illustrates a cautionary tale about how success can overshadow the basic emotional needs of a family. Despite his achievements, many of his children felt lost in the glitz and glamour that surrounded him. Two ended their own lives under heavy emotional burdens. Another passed on after years of struggling, and the confessions about Bing's discipline continue to stir debate. As we wrap up this deep dive, perhaps the biggest takeaway is the importance of understanding that public images rarely tell the full story. Even legends have their flaws, and sometimes those flaws cast the longest shadows. Let Bing Crosby's story be a reminder that behind every holiday anthem, glowing spotlight, or red carpet appearance, there can be very real human struggles. We can still cherish the soothing voice and timeless music, but we should also remember the price that came with it, for those closest to him. Thank you for watching and exploring this lesser-known side of a beloved American entertainer. If you found this story insightful, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and check out our other deep dives into Hollywood's hidden stories. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Bing Crosby's personal failings diminish his incredible musical legacy? Or is it possible to appreciate both the good and acknowledge the bad? We'd love to hear your take.